Good evening. Welcome, everybody. I hope you had a fantastic day. Did you? Okay, good. Good. You know, I just want to begin by thanking everybody for the gift of this reunion. In the last 24 hours, I have been moved by everything. You know, listening to your stories, hearing the joy of rekindled friendships, and the discussions that have been taking place all over the campus with the current students and among yourselves, just incredible. So thank you. I want to thank the reunion co-chairs, Cheryl Brissett Chapman and Rosetta Hillary, for their extraordinary leadership. And thanks as well to the members of the steering committee, the advancement staff, the people from offices across the university for their hard work to shape this reunion. And of course, I want to thank Sam Menkoff. The lights are very bright. Where's Sam? Right there. And for being here, our chancellor. And he is joined by many current and emeritus corporation members here tonight. And I was wondering if all of you could stand, current corporation emeritus members. You're here. You're here. Yeah. So thank you. Tonight we celebrate a rich and profound history of Black legacy in all of its resilience in the world and all of the ways that it's woven into the fabric of Brown University. And there is no better, and I mean no better way, to celebrate Black legacy at Brown than to hear from our keynote speaker, Brown President Emerita Ruth Simmons and current President of Prairie View. I'm going to talk for a while. Like 5 minutes. Yeah. So I'm really sorry. I have like 5 more minutes, so you gotta wait for Ruth. But it really is. So when Ruth was inaugurated as the 18th president of Brown, she arrived with an abiding trust in the belief that all things are possible, that she was the granddaughter of slaves and the first African-American president of an Ivy League institution. Those two things lent that trust enormous credibility. And premier institutions like Brown, she believed, must honor that trust, in part by assuring that they are accessible to bright, exceptionally talented students from all backgrounds. And in her legacy interview from the BAM in 2012, she noted the following. She said, quote, "If you've been mired in poverty at any juncture and you get to know the capabilities of people in very poor communities, you're the first to recognize that there is as much talent and brilliance in that community as in any other." So, you know, her enlightened thinking really changed the environment at Brown, and it gave further voice and power to advocates who followed in the footsteps of those who participated in the 1968 walkout, the people we've been celebrating over this weekend. And it opened space for this bold and long overdue examination of Brown's ties to slavery carried out by the Committee on Slavery and Justice at Brown. And I have to say, I've been astonished over the past several years when lots of other universities are kind of feeling their way through this issue, and they're grappling with their histories, and Brown and Ruth Simmons are routinely cited as the institution and the leader that had the courage to be first. So the Brown of today and tomorrow owe an enormous debt of gratitude to the foundation that everybody in this room have worked so hard to build. And there's a lot more to be done. We know that. But we've come so far over 50 years. In my time as president, it's been an honor to advance this work. And we have done a lot of work through carrying out the Diversity and Inclusion Action Plan that a lot of you have heard about over the past day or so. I believe that tone is set at the top, has to be. And today, I'm really proud that over 18% of the members of the Brown University Corporation are Black. I'm proud that my cabinet now includes more Black members than when I arrived, and that our dean of the graduate school and our dean of the admissions identify as Black. And in the past 3 years, we've hired just an enormous number of incredible faculty members. People like string theorist and national member of science recipient Jim Gates, who's come to Brown. I have to say, some other institutions a little farther north tried very hard to get him, and they didn't. We did. I like that. Juliet Hooker, a political scientist who recently won a major award from the American Political Science Association for her new book on theorizing race in America. She's here now as a tenured professor. And just this fall, we have a new assistant professor, Ramel Ross, whose film Hail Country this evening, was the winner of a U.S. documentary special jury award for creative vision at the 2018 Sundance Film Festival. And you know, these faculty and others, it's no surprise, they're attracting outstanding students. And it's no surprise that 30% of incoming domestic master's and doctoral students identify as members of historically underrepresented groups. And far more important than these numbers is the rising confidence that this campus is a place where people feel like they belong, and a place where students and faculty from every background want to be. This is a place where people want to come, and that's what I want to accomplish while I'm here. So yes, there is much more to do. We all know that, but there's a palpable sense of the momentum that's coming from Brown University, and all of you are part of that, so I thank you for that. Now, you know, I'm an economist. I love numbers. We're tracking the numbers on people and survey data and every other thing to assess our progress. But I also know that beyond the numbers, symbolic actions, they matter. They matter as well, very, very tangibly. Consider the power of the Slavery Memorial, which is just outside of my office window. If I stand up at my desk and I look out, I can see it there, which is great. And this sculpture, which was erected on the recommendation of the Committee on Justice and Slavery and Justice, it stands as a permanent memorial recognizing Brown's role in the transatlantic slave trade. That's a wonderful thing. And it stands as a constant reminder of a university community that aspires to be better. That's important. Sometimes symbolic action takes other forms. Sometimes it takes the form of recognizing the legacy of accomplished Black alumni who might have fallen into obscurity, like we did last night when it was announced that J. Mayo Williams, class of 21, and that's not 2021, that's 1921, that he would be inducted into the Brown University Sports Hall of Fame. So, for those of you who weren't at last evening's dinner, Mayo Williams was one of the first 3 black players in the newly formed NFL in 1920. And he, along with Paul Robeson and Fritz Pollard, class of 19, were members of the NFL in its first year. Now, perhaps more important, Williams was the preeminent producer of black R&B records in the first half of the 20th century, and he was elected to the Blues Hall of Fame, the National Blues Hall of Fame, in 2004. So it's great that we're finally recognizing him here at Brown as well. Now, sometimes symbolic action may take the form of renaming a campus building. And that's what I'm going to announce right now. So tonight, I am delighted to tell you that the Brown University Corporation has enthusiastically voted to rename a College Hill building in honor of 2 iconic Black alumni, Inman Page and Ethel Robinson. Don't have to tell you the history. You all know that Inman Page was born into slavery. He sought liberty and opportunity, and he found them at Brown. He went on to teach and mentor and lead and break down barriers in higher education as the president of not one, but several colleges and universities. Ruth, this sounds kind of familiar. And today, he is the namesake of Brown's Black Alumni Council. Now, Ethel Robinson, she broke a color barrier and a glass ceiling when she graduated as the first black woman from Brown in 1905. And Ethel, she went on to teach English at Howard University, and she was instrumental in founding the first black sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha. The thing that I love about Ethel is she has relatives, descendants of her little sister Cora, who followed her to Brown, who live in Providence and are with us this evening. So please join me. Please join me in acknowledging Michael Van Leesten and his family tonight. I think they're sitting right there. Seems really happy. Nobody wants to know what the building is. Do you want to know what the building is? So let's talk about which campus building will be renamed in their honor, effective in the spring semester of 2019. So let me tell you how we thought this through. Given the historical and academic significance of the renaming, we undertook a very thoughtful, deliberative process in consultation with alumni who are here this evening in choosing the right building to bear the Page Robinson name. We wanted a building that was at the heart of campus. We wanted one that every student, faculty member, and staff member use on a regular basis, and one that serves as a center of classroom activity, teaching and learning, the core of the Brown experience. And we wanted a building that was recently renovated in great shape. And we wanted one that was renameable. That took out a few. So the building we settled on is the J. Walter Wilson Building. So, as many of you may know, J. Walter Wilson, the building, was built as a biology laboratory, and so it was appropriate when it was built to name it in 1962 for J. Walter Wilson, the person who was a beloved biology professor, and we will continue to honor him. But J. Walter Wilson is no longer a biology building. It's no longer a laboratory building. It is now Brown's main building for university and student services. It's located right across Waterman Street from Fonts Arch. It houses financial aid, the Office of International Students and Scholars Services, the Mail Center, very important in the life of students, the chaplain's office, classrooms, seminars, and much more. And I have to say, every student and faculty member and staff member who's here at Brown knows where this building, which will, starting in the spring semester, become Page Robinson Hall, is. So friends, let us welcome this new building to the Brown campus. Thank you so much.